Hey, what's up, guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome to another stream. It's Tuesday today, so we know that it's a preview day for an upcoming event, and it is going to be a Dark Commander event. And since we did start a little bit later, just to please MTM, I'm going to say this is T-Bone After Dark. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us, everybody. All right, so there's a few things I wanted to cover today, and what I want to do is I want to make sure I cover the things I didn't get a chance to yesterday and the day before first. And then we can talk about the event cards and also the events afterwards. And so the first thing I wanted to cover is the Bounty Hunter event. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was, hey, we've got these, this change, all these different levels and all of these bounty bosses. What does it mean? How do you take them out? And, what's different and what do you have to do? And so after playing with it a little bit and attempting the bosses and failing a little, this is my recommendation. So the first thing that I think that you should keep in mind is that this is really exactly the same as the regular bounty dungeon, except they've added the bounties in there. So they've changed the layout so that they could incorporate these bounty bosses. And bounty bosses really are where's the information for it? So bounty bosses really are for you to be able to earn a additional trophies, and also if you can defeat all four of them, you would then actually be able to collect a celestial unit. And so if you defeat all four of them, you're going to get the celestial Samuel Tech, which if you don't have, it's an older card, but it is useful in in some situations. Although because I have better commander cards now, I don't really use it, but it is also good for collection purposes. And so my recommendation actually would be for you to save your keys and go through the levels until you get to the 500 coins, 500 gems. So if you can actually get to the 500 gems first, then actually I would then use the keys to try and take out the bosses. So these bosses all take bounty dungeon keys, and so you don't want to waste them. Now the last boss here, I guess Alex has given some people troubles as well, but both Alex and Nicole are units that actually are they can be taken up by arcane killer bonus, because one is ancient and the other is special. And so with Nicole, this is going to be a little bit more difficult, and one of the things that you really need to do is you really need to have a turn delay card, as well as some card that can give you the killer bonus. In this case, a hard one gorilla will actually do a really good job. Now I'm still testing it out. As you can see, I only managed to sort of barely scratch the surface a little bit. And so if you don't quite have the team, but you have something that can deal relatively good damage with turn delay, then potentially 3 keys would be the answer for you, as long as you've gotten the 500 gems. So that's my recommendation. I haven't really figured out a really great recipe just yet, but I do have one for Alex. So the one I used for Alex was actually from the previous water deck. You can also use the Draconic Irrigator as a card that gives you a revive. Now this card is also available in the shop right now. If you take a look at the Drill Fist depot, you can see that these cards are available for I think for a couple more days. So they are doing this weekly deal where you can get relics as well as Master Collection card and ultra rare cards, and individually you can buy them individually. And so the Draconic Irrigator happens to be on sale right now. It is also a water it's a water technological hero, so it fits with the previous Water Slayer deck. So that would be something to consider. And of course you do want to make sure that you run it with a turn delay card, so that you can first survive, then you can also survive a couple of rounds before you take it out. And also because it is also it's also arcane bonus, arcane killer applies here, so this deck really works well against Alex. So that's my recommendation for this commander event, for this bounty hunter event. Not sure what it's going to be like next time, so this is I think this is kind of them trying it out. And so I've seen some feedback, I tried it myself, and I think that would be my recommendation. Don't spend all of your keys chasing after it right now until after you've collected it. And so just saying hi to everybody in the chat as well. So thanks for joining us here. So after covering the bounty dungeon, that's what I wanted to cover first. Then let's talk about sort of some of the changes to the vault again. And so Vishal, yes, the deck I used against Alex with this deck right here, this was with 1 key. So I was able to use 1 key to take out Alex there, because I think it was 100 billion. And so with the turn delay, so with the initial damage and then also the revive as well as the turn delay, I was able to take it out pretty easily, because with the first damage, I was able to deal maybe about 30 billion or so, and so it was it was pretty easy after that. And so give that a try and see how that works for you. And so the next thing I wanted to cover is another vault change, and this is something that they actually have in the, I believe in the FAQ. I'm not sure if the FAQ is available here. This is the lore, but they're introducing this new idea of a Unity vault. So last time we had, the guild vault, and this time it's a Unity vault, but it's still kind of guild focused, except this time, instead of the cards being a huge pool that is shared across all of the entire guild, you still have your individual vault. So all of the cards now are back to the way it was, with the same number of cards that you used to pull, and that means also no more gifting. So unfortunately, I actually really like the gifting aspect of the guild vault. I think that the idea was really great. I saw some really good, I saw some really good interactions, and I saw a lot of people getting teams where they otherwise wouldn't be able to. So I kind of missed that. But what they're doing this time instead is, as you pull from the vault, you're going to then earn these tokens, and then these tokens are then given to the guild leader so that they can actually open up more items. What does that mean? Well, let's take a look. So here's the Unity Vault. Everything's the same. You can see that the number of items have come back to the way it was. There's 25 gold and 31 silver items that you can potentially pull from. And then if you look at the Unity here, basically everything is locked until the guild leader has enough tokens. So if the guild leader has 2 tokens, then your guild leader can then unlock the first reward, which is a 4-star warden, and then it goes down to ascension stones, and then gives you these bastion shards, and then wardens, as well as finally an ascended warden and some core crate. Now personally, I think that it's okay. I think these are decent gifts, but honestly, this requires your entire guild to actually open tiers. And the good thing is, at least it's not very you don't really need a very high investment. So we'll take a look at the tiers, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So if you look at the contents in the vault, tier 2 is where you first see a Unity token, and then tier 4 is where you see the second Unity token. So if you think about it, if you typically go to tier 2 or 4, that's 1 or 2 per person in the guild that could give a token. The maximum number of token that's required looks like 45. So that means if you go up to tier 4, if everybody goes to tier 4, then everybody gets 2. And so that means if 22 people actually went to tier 4, then you'll get the core crate. You won't get it. You still need one more to basically 22 plus one more getting the tier 2. Then you're gonna get the core crate. But I honestly don't feel like that is as necessary. Whereas the ascended warden is going to be a much better. I think the ascended warden is a much better gift. And at 33, that means at 4. It's basically 9 people going to tier 4 will guarantee everybody in the guild getting an ascended warden, which to me is much more likely to be the case, as opposed to the core crate. So personally, I think that you as a guild, perhaps aiming for as high as ascended warden, I wouldn't necessarily feel like the core crate is worth it for you to feel the need to spend more. So judge of all, with the Unity token, do you lose a token as you use them? So I haven't tried. I'm not the guild leader this time, so I don't know. My guess is if you lose it as you use them, then it wouldn't make sense, because these numbers look like they're cumulative. And so there's no way that you're going to be able to get up to 45 if you lose all of these ones as you go up. So I think that it's sort of like collections. As you earn them, you hit those marks, then you can unlock them. And then as you unlock them, the entire guild gets them. So that brings me to the very, very important point here. And I mentioned it in my chat, and that is, once you start, you cannot leave the guild. They've made it so that if you leave your guild, you lose association with these rewards, and so you can't earn them. So if you don't care about them, then that's fine, but then you can't contribute to it either, I don't think, if you leave guilds. I just don't think that it's a great idea to be leaving guild back and forth, at least within this event. So this is an area where I feel like it feels a little constricting to people who are looking to explore different guilds, but honestly, you should probably stay in your guild during the event anyway, and so I think it's okay. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you leave the guild, you're going to lose those tokens. You're not going to be able to give them, and you're not going to be able to get those rewards either. And so that's just something to think about. And so let's see here. So you were looking for, so Nickerson looking for 2 copies of Ultra Rare, didn't pull anything. Unfortunately, that typically tends to be the case. It's all very luck based. And so let's take a look at the cards this time, and let's take a look to see if it's actually worth going after. Now I know MTM is in the chat, and so he's definitely going to give you his opinion on the deck, and I'm going to give you mine as well. So I'm going to go ahead and collect these dust first. I don't have a lot of dark dust because I used it for the previous events, but let's see how close we are. So we're 6 and 8,000, so we're nowhere near getting it. But let's take a look at the Master Collection card first. MTM's going to be good? That's okay. Feel free to say what you want. And so we're going to take a look at Conscience, Pounding Heart. Now, this entire deck is based around Edgar Allan Poe's poems and stories, and so I think that it's a really cool concept. Actually, the artwork is really nice, so I think that it's good to, you know, show appreciation to the artists and to the people who have put a lot of effort and time into these cards, and this is one of them I definitely enjoyed. So this isn't a Fable card, and it's an attacker, a Dark Commander, and we know that this is a reset card. So what this does is, if you take a look at the previous Earth Commander deck, this essentially is the same thing. And so what this will do is, Master Collection card will create up to 9 Power Gem 3s. And the way that it goes is it starts with 4, and then it'll create an additional for every 3 stacks of Dread. So the way that you get more numbers of Power Gems is by attacking. So every time this card attacks, it increases the stack of Dread by 1. And I showed this last time, where if you have 3 of these cards, then every time you attack, you move the stack by 3, which means every time you attack, the very next time that you activate the battle skill, then you automatically increase your Power Gems by 1. And the maximum number of Power Gems you can have for this particular Master Collection card is 9. And so that's this card, and it's a chaotic killer, and it also dispels armor. So armor is not that big of a deal in terms of a boss. It obviously will be a problematic skill if you don't dispel it, because you can't damage the boss. But generally, there's a lot of cards that can dispel it, so armor is not that hard of a boss buff to deal with. Then we have the ultra rare card here, High Justice Pit. And so this card is the one that will do the recharge. And as an ultra rare card, it will actually recharge 2 cards at the same time. And so this card will reset and charges 2 heroes with battle skill. So again, for those of you who might be new, who are just watching this, a recharge and basically a reset and recharge means after you spend a battle skill of a card, when you activate the ultra rare card, those cards will fill up the bar again, and you can use it immediately within the same turn. You don't need to wait to attack or anything like that. You can basically use your Master Collection card and your Ultimate Form card and your event card multiple times. So the ultra rare card here will reset and refill any of the two following cards: the Master Collection card, the Ultimate Form, or the main card. You don't actually get to choose which ones, but because you know it's guaranteed to reset 2, you can control which ones you reset as well. And this card also has a passive where every time you attack, you create 2 Dark Power Gem 2s. And so you get a little bit of extra power boost by using the card every time you attack. So having the ultra rare card in the deck is a must, or I should say a support or an ultra rare is a must in this case. And so then we take a look at the support card. I'm going to use actually... I'm going to look at the tiers list here to show it. And so we're going to take a look at the tiers list for the support card. We'll take a look at event card as well. So the support card is Pit, Pendulum Executioner. And this card is basically the weaker version of the ultra rare in that it will reset, but it only resets 1. And so in my opinion, you can, and I talked about this last time in the Earth Commander deck, if you can actually get a Master Collection card, then effectively having a support card in your deck equates to having 2 Master Collection cards. So it's actually really nice if you think about it. And so this is a rare case where I actually feel like if you get the main card and the Master Collection card, it might be better to simply put in the support card in so you get the extra power gems. It's weird to say, but because of the difference in the power gems you get between the event card and the Master Collection card, this is the case where it supports better. So anyways, it'll recharge one card, and it also creates 4 gems every time. And so if you think about this, because it only recharges one, having 3 Master Collection card and two support, or 1 Master Collection card and 4 supports actually gives you the same thing. The only exception is the fewer Master Collection cards you have, the longer turn it'll take before you can create more power gems. And also because the cards themselves are a little bit weaker, you deal a little bit less damage overall. So that's sort of like the way to think about it. However, there is no heal at all in this entire deck. Right. So we know that decks that don't heal typically don't last very long, especially if we're going to be talking about, higher level bosses, ultimate bosses, etc. And also, what do we do if we want to use this deck in future decks, like, against a golden trial boss, where in the future where we might have cases where we want to go up against a strong boss. Well, then we're going to have to mix and match. Okay. So let's take a look at the event card just to round it out. I actually, that's a Master Collection card. So I actually thought that this is a really cool card too, the Raven. So it's one of my favorite poems from Edgar Allan Poe here. That's the Raven here, and so I really really like this artwork. I think it's really cool. Anyways, the Raven here, it creates up to 8 power gem once. This is a case where I think that the event card could go a little higher if it was event power gem 2s. I think that would have really been a great choice. Otherwise, with this, I literally just feel like if you have the Master Collection card, this card is really not necessary. So like, it creates 8 power gem 1s, and it goes at the rate of 3 plus 1 for every 3 stacks, and every time it attacks, it adds to a stack. So it does everything that the Master Collection card does, but much weaker. And I think the only reason why you would want it is, actually you wouldn't even care, because it also dispels armor. So if you have the Master Collection card, there's literally no reason to use the event card. That's just how I feel about it. So it's a shame, because this card actually looks really cool. It's got one of the better arts in the deck. Like, I prefer this card over the support and the ultra rare. It's just that it has no use. Once you've got the Master Collection card, this card is no longer useful. So just gotta think about that for a second, right? For me, this is the kind of sort of deck building or design where I feel like they missed the mark on the event card, because it shouldn't feel useless, especially for an event card. But in this case, it actually is, because of the way the card, the way it's designed. Okay, so to me, I think that it's a deck that will do well in the event itself. Not sure that it's going to do well afterwards. Not sure that it's something that I feel like you must invest in. But it's something that, obviously, with any commander events now, the decks, if you get the ultimate form, it's going to help you get, prestige 2, prestige 3. It's going to help you get the trophies. So without it, and I know from experience, I haven't had a single ultimate form for the last few events, basically ever. And I managed to get about prestige 1. And so I managed to sort of just stay above the bubble, so I don't actually get relegated. So it's a little bit tougher, but with the card, it'll obviously be a lot easier. So as MTM says, it's a very squishy card, the support card, because it's a seer card, but it doesn't actually have a heal component to it. Seer cards are cards that have the highest level of recovery. And if you take a look at the one thing I always forget, if you look at the ultimate relic, at tier 2, at 2 stars, what this will do is this card will actually introduce the ultimate drain, which actually heals. And what it does is every card that attacks will heal for 20% of that recovery for every dark ultimate commander relic you get in the deck. And so let's say you get just this one, then you have a seer card that can now heal for 20% of that recovery. And the seer card actually has the highest. And so if you take a look here, you can see that the stats, right? So it's 1500 recovery at level 1 for a 6-star. And so 20% of that, you get about 300 recovery. But it's kind of, 300 is not bad. But with times 5, it's basically 1500. And so it's kind of just like okay for me from the heal. Like, I don't think it's really noticeable. And so overall, it's going to be a relatively squishier deck with no heal. So you're gonna have to add something to heal there. So that's the risk. It is going to be a high attack deck because everything about it just screams more damage. But on the flip side, it's basically a glass cannon deck. This is a glass cannon deck where it doesn't take a lot of hits to die. There's no good way to heal unless you bring in something to heal along with the deck. But otherwise, you should be able to take out the bosses relatively quickly. But just not gonna last very long otherwise. Now, the thing I wanted to call out too is that because this is a chaotic killer deck, you can also use the previous Dark Slayer event deck in this particular event. Okay, so if you have the Spirits United Ultimate Form, then you're going to be golden here as well. As usual, if you use a Slayer deck in a Commander event, you just need to add a couple of Commander cards in there, and you should do okay. And this is another deck that can just deal a ton of damage because of all the power gems. So if you stick let's say you stick a Master Collection card in place of my event card here. You got three Master Collect. I got 2 Master Collection cards plus the Ultimate Form plus the ultra rare card that is required to basically charge up all of my cards. This deck right here would actually deal, I think, relatively significant damage. And of course, the more commander bonus you can add to it, the more damage you can output as well. So that's something to think about. So let's see. Let's see what anybody says here. So Mr. X, so they changed the ultimate gem system, and what is my opinion on that? So that's a good question. One thing that they've also changed, which is covered in the news feed, let's go and take a look at the news feed, is that they've changed the way that the let's see, is it in here? Or is it in the Unity Vault? No, all right, so I know that it's in the news feed somewhere, but let's just take a look at the card. So basically, what they've done is they've removed a couple of they removed the requirement for the ultimate gem to actually consume the skill points. And so you can see here when you reach 300 commander skill point, then you're going to create the ultimate gem. And you notice it doesn't actually consume it. And so what that means is once you reach 300 commander skill points, you'll always be able to activate commander skill point. So this is actually really good in a couple of ways. Number one, if you have multiple ultimate form that, let's say you're going up against a ultimate boss, and you have 2 ultimate form cards here, that means you can now always create 2 ultimate gems once your skill points reach 300. So that can increase your skill. And also there are cards that actually say get additional damage or create additional power gems based on the number of basically for every 100 skill point. But if every time you use the ultimate form it takes away 150 of those skill points, you're never getting the full potential of your cards. And so I personally think that that's a good thing. It's like once you charge up to 300 for the remainder of the fight, you're always guaranteed to have the maximum amount of damage that you can output. So I think it's a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. It'll take a little bit longer to get there, but I think that it's not a bad thing. And so West Wolf, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us here. So Ankit, yeah, honestly, my personal feeling is that if you don't get lucky in the polls, I don't know that this is the deck that I would invest my dust in to get, because Slayer events, in my opinion, are always more valuable to spend the dust in. So you're always going to get better value out of it. So I wouldn't recommend spending your dust on commander events typically, unless they come out with something that is going to be very good cross events. I think that this one is okay for me. If you have the deck, great. If you don't, if I don't get it, then I'm not going to spend. I'm not going to spend the the dust for it. Not that I have any. And so Engineer Xenka is unfortunately not in the dust store. So if you take a look at the collection here, we've got Engineer Xenka that is not in the store, but then we've got Etienne Stone Scale, and also we've got Nighthawk Lunar Ranger. Both of these are in the 20 dust shop. And so if you're missing her, hopefully you can pull that from the vault or something, so that you can collect your shiny hero. So having said all that, I am still gonna pull a couple of tiers just because that way I can also get the Unity tokens. I'm kind of torn between tier 3 or 4, but I think that tier 3 is about 3,000 gems or so. I think I might be okay to invest in that just to see. And so, okay, I got a Master Collection card on tier 1. Woo! So that was really good. And so I actually really like the card. I really like that that art there. And so that's tier 1, and I got it from the VIP bonus, so I was really lucky there. Now let's go to tier 2, and let's see what we get. So we're going to also get a token, and let's see what we get in tier 2 here. So tier 3, you're also guaranteed a relic, and tier 4, you're guaranteed the event card. But as I mentioned, the event card isn't as good, and so let's see here. So this is the support card, this is Pit, this is going to help with the reset. And so this is as expected, and there's a Unity token. All right, so let's see here. So we've also got a couple cards here, and 1,500 ultra rare dust, so that's pretty good. Now let's go and open up tier 3. So that's 1,400, and that's another. So it's 2,400 basically up to tier 3, and then another 2,000. So basically 4,400 gems if I go to tier 4. All right, so that's a. Ooh. So that's the guaranteed relic. So that's the guaranteed reward there. And unfortunately, no ultra rare. Yeah, so ultra rare card is always the one that eludes me generally. And so 2,500. Do I spend 2,500? So I started with 8,000. This is where I always kind of struggle, right? So 2,500 gives me another event relic, and I get a main hero. I get the ultra dust, and then I get a Unity token. So I think that I'm just gonna give it a try. I don't necessarily trust I'm gonna have the best luck here, but I'm gonna go ahead and open up to tier 4. And so I can get the 2 tokens, and then I'll donate it to the guild leader, and we'll see. So at least I have the Master Collection card to play with. And like I said, I could use the Master Collection card into my Slayer deck. And ooh, hey, look at that! I actually got the ultra rare card. All right, so I actually I'm gonna be able to manage to craft the ultimate form this time, so that's good. And so let's see what else we get here. So I think that's gonna be the other relic. So I got 2 relics plus the team and the event card. So this was a really good pull this time, so I got really lucky. This is the first ultimate form in a commander event, so that means I'm gonna do a little bit better this time around. It'll be a little easier. So thank you everybody. Thank you everyone for the good wishes. The streak has been broken. The streak has been broken. I got the deck, and so what that will allow me to do is I can actually showcase how this works now. And so let's take a look, and that means I can also get the shiny hero. So I need to clear space. And this is always the part that sort of makes me sad. First, let's go ahead and clear all of these Generation 2 cards that's not needed. And so, there are a lot of ultra rare cards I did pull from there as well. But, it's just that they're not as useful nowadays. All right, so all of these things can go. And I can also remove some of the turn delay cards that I used for Alex, since I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and sell this card, sell it, and then let's see how many cards I need. So what I want to do is I want to sort of, build up the deck, and then I want to show you how that works out. So basically I need to clear out at least 4 more. So let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, thank you everybody. Thanks for the good wishes, and also I was very, very lucky there, so I'm very happy about that. All right, so there are some cards I've just kind of kept forever, and a lot of people always ask the question too, like, how do you choose which cards to keep and which cards to dust? Honestly, at some point it just comes down to your sentiment value of these cards, because pretty much most of these cards don't have as much value anymore as you think. So like, Golden Warrior, I haven't seen him being used, and like Indale, I kept Indale just because I've always thought about how much I liked using it, and I also got rid of one of my oldest cards, which was what is it again? Darth Vader version. Driev. Yeah, Commander Driev, Lord Driev, right? And so now, which one do I get rid of? So this is the card. Celestial Simultech is what you'll get if you complete all 4 bosses. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna spend 100 gems just to increase my inventory by 5. So that's what I'm gonna do. And so let's go ahead and craft the ultimate form so that we can at least use the team. And then we're going to try it on the boss, and then we will show how that all works out. All right, so let's go ahead and go to collect. Do I have enough? I don't have enough Dark Commander dust. So that's a problem. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Dark Commander. So let's go ahead and... I know, Kurosux, I can't say that anymore. I was saying that for a long time, too. Okay, so Dark Commander, what can I... Generation 3, what can I dust here? So... I mean, I could get rid of the Duros. I don't use these cards anymore. Yeah, I think that's okay. So what does card... I gotta go back and take a look and see if I can remember. All right, so this is the one that will actually... It's basically like the overflow mechanic, and I don't have anything from there anyway, so I'm gonna say goodbye. I gotta dust you for 400. I know that I could also get the... I know I could get the dust once the event starts, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this now because I don't really need it anyway, and it's a good way for me to clear out some space. So let's go ahead and craft the ultimate form now. Let's go and forge 1. Yay, my first ever Commander ultimate form. That was wild. All right, so let's go ahead and use this space here. We will go ahead and put in the team, and then we're going to try out for... I guess we'll go up against Rilka just to see. And so here is the team here, and I do need to put in for now anyways. If I put in the full team, then basically, then I will not have any heal, and that's really the thing to think about. So some of the cards that are going to be really good. Cannon is a good healer card. You can put this in there. It's a commander card. It's so that you can get some heal as well every single turn. So that might be an option there. And so I think I'll put in the Raven, and then let's go ahead and get my the Shiny Master Collection card. What am I missing here? I need to level it to 6 stars. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I think it needs to be 6 stars. And so we'll go ahead and evolve. And do I have the... So I got enough Faceless Totem, so that's good. And so let's go ahead and do this. And I need to do it 3 times. Or just twice. Okay, so let's go ahead and buy an Altera's Tier. You can also buy from the store. So remember that the store is also where you can... there's some... I haven't done it yet, but you can also get the sort of the daily rewards by buying in the store there. All right, so we got our 6-star Raven. Now we can collect our Shiny MC, and we're going to go ahead and do that. So the Shiny MC is always going to have a little bit better stats, and you can also use it to craft, basically go up another level. So it's going to be, I like the Shiny MC personally. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and put that card in there. So now we've got the ultra rare card, which I will put right here. And basically, I don't really... Because I'm trying to show how this deck works, I don't want to die right away. So I'm going to switch this out for Cannon, like I said. Oops, not Waste Inspector. So this is a really good card to use. Personally, I think that would be a good choice. Okay, so you can also get some heals here. We're going to go up against Rilka, so we can also show you how that works there. So we're going to go ahead and use a Dark Commander event. So we got 2 relics from this, which is good. And... let's see. So I'm just going to throw it in there for now. I could also use my Dark Scythe, but we're going to go ahead and launch Rilka, and we're gonna go ahead and spend 100 gems. Don't really like to, but I also don't really know what to get rid of anymore. And so let's go ahead and try this out. It's right here. We're gonna go ahead and battle, and it's gonna tell me I don't have enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and increase it by 100 so that I can actually go in and attack. All right, so let's see. So Li Shan, good evening, and yeah, so there are better ways to obviously use this. So what you want to do is you want to attack. So with one ultimate form and 2 MCs, you can see I am actually increasing my stack. So you can see the stack right here, Dread, by 3 every time. And so every time you attack, it's gonna go up, and when you use it, it's not going to disappear until the turn afterwards. And so let's see. So Ken is healing, right? So I'm healing here. Yeah, it's healing, although by a very tiny amount. And so I think one of the things that you can also do then is put I guess I would put in a dark scepter just so that you can heal a little bit. And so I need to get the armor out. So what this will do is this will create the gems, and it's going to be cleared. And how many turns is it? So basically it's 3 turns. So basically the way you would work here is you would activate these 3. Okay, so you can see if it fills up, and then you can reset 2 of them, and then you can activate. So the optimal strategy here is to not activate all 3 before activating the ultra rare. So what you want to do is you want to activate 1 MC and 1 ultimate form, and then you can go ahead and activate the ultra rare, so you can guarantee that your ultimate form is the one that you can activate again, because you get more, you actually create more gems there. And so then after that, then you can go ahead and activate your Master Collection card again, so that you can guarantee to maximize your power gem output. And so let's see here, 15 stacks here, so we're really close. Let's just see how much damage we can deal. Now this doesn't have the this doesn't have a killer bonus, and so I guess another thing I could do is simply, I missed out on the opportunity to do that. So I guess I'll just use cannon to do this, so that way I can create some gems, and I think this will create another gem every 3 turns. I've sort of forgotten about this. So the nice thing about using cannon too is that it will create gems over 3 turns, and then you can always guarantee to have gem creation. I totally forgot about that until I used it. All right, so let's go ahead and do what we said, right? So now that the armor's gone, so you're going to activate Master Collection card, then the ultra rare, then you're going to recharge, guarantee that you get the ultimate form card to reset, and then now you can use the 2 Master Collection card for, basically maximum amount of power gems that you can create there. And so let's see how much damage we can deal with this particular set, because there's no bonus or anything like that. So about close to 100 billion here. And so this is, this is how it works. Like, I'm not doing this so I can take out the boss, but I'm just kind of doing this so we can show. And how many so this also has a 3-turn cooldown. So you also want to try to attack every turn if you can. So cannon actually works well in this case, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to attack every single turn to build up your stack of dread. And I'm trying to remember what the stack is. So 9 basically, 3 for every 1, 5, so you need 4 more. So 12 stacks I think is the maximum, right? So it starts with 5. It starts with 4 and you go up to 5, so 15 stacks of dread. So 15 stacks of dread is where you're going to get the maximum. So let's go ahead and just do that right now, and we can sort of see how much damage you can do in that particular case. And so let's see. So Anna, so I think this is why somebody mentioned that if you put the ultra rare card in the middle, then you activate from left to right, it's actually going to be better, because then you're guaranteed to use your I'll show you what I mean. So that's sort of positioning wise, the better position for this deck would actually be like this. And somebody raised the question, so Anna, you raised the question of why not use Wicked Queen. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't use Wicked Queen. I used Cannon simply just because that was one of the cards I saw there, and you'll actually get much better heal with the Wicked Queen. You don't get the gem generation, so I think there's kind of, there's also that, but the heal from Cannon is not as good. That's definitely the case. But sort of the two sides. Using Cannon, you can get gem generation every single turn, so you can increase your stacks of Dread. Using Wicked Queen, you basically will never die. And so this is probably going to be the ideal setup if you have a a 1-star. If you have a 1 pink star ultimate form, this is going to be your ideal setup right here with the Wicked Queen in place for the heal, with the 2 Master Collection card, with your Ultra Rare card in the middle, so you're guaranteed to actually maximize your gem creation. And so that is my recommendation for this team here. So yes, I did get really lucky. I got a full team by tier 4. This is not typical for me. And so I wish I could share all of my luck with everybody if I could. But you've been around with me. You've seen me, open decks for the past quite a few events now. Having a full team by tier 4 is not typical for me. So I am very lucky. I am counting my blessings there. And so Ray, thank you very much for joining us. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And so let's see. And question. So there's a question there. Previous commander ultimate form would be great to add heals. Previous Slayer, yeah, so like if you use the previous Slayer and also you have, if I add in the previous Slayer ultimate form in this deck, I can also get ultimate gems every turn. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And so the reason the reason why MTM said that, if you take a look at the previous card here, this deck right here, Spirits United has a 1-turn cooldown. And so once you reach 300 Slayer skill points, that means every single time you activate your skill, you can create a ultimate gem. So I can imagine a world where you can just activate the Spirits United, match the gems so that you can get him to get the power up again, but save the ultimate gem and see how many you can actually generate, and then match them together. Like, that is actually opening up some doors to really cool plays. I think there's gonna be some really cool videos, some really cool challenges out there. How many ultimate gems can you create, and how much damage can you make with that? And so I think that's going to be actually pretty cool. And so Rock for Life, welcome. Thanks for joining us there. So I saw the shirt. I saw you had received the shirt. Thank you for showing the picture as well. Hope you like it. And what do I think about adding Bio Blitzer to this deck? And so this deck, Bio Blitzer is always a good deck, right? So it's just that if you want to use Bio Blitzer, then you're going to want to actually use, I guess you'll want to use an Ascended Almar would be the best bet. So like typically a Slayer plus commander event, if you want to combine the best of the both worlds, using Almar would be good. If you want to use Bio Blitzer, the problem is Bio Blitzer is not going to have the killer bonus this time around. And so this deck right here, it is, I think, Immortal. So it has Immortal Killer bonus. It's not going to be applicable for the boss either. It's not going to be applicable for the ultimate boss. And so you're going to get a lot reduced damage. So you're really going to have to use this with commander cards that can generate power gems. And so I think it's going to be okay. It's always worth trying out, because you're still going to get the 5 times nuke damage. So it'll be good for taking on bosses, but not so good for getting the overkill. So the Freedom Fighters deck in this case isn't going to be the best for overkill, at least in the later levels. And so you're really going to want to take advantage of the killer bonus if you can. And so Rock for Life, good. I'm glad to hear that. And so that's, I'm glad that I was able to try this out, because then I could sort of, show you live, what I think is going to be the best combination of a deck if you have the ultimate form. So if you don't have the ultimate form, I still think that, let's say you have the Master Collection card. Because if you have the event card, then, if you have the event card, it's something. It still goes up to 8 power gem ones, so it's at least better than the regular event cards. But let's see, if we were to take this out, right, and what would I add in there dark commander wise, so there's actually some good choices there. So you've got the Motley Oiziso, which is a gem destroyer, and I think it provides a little bit of a heal. I don't have good, I don't have really good dark commander cards though, and so really have to think about it. So Lotto would have been a really good choice if this card is actually, if this card is what's the word I'm looking for? Empowered, so you can actually get some really good nuke damage. But I don't think they're ever going to do that. So in and then some of the older ones like menacing Tikba Lung and also Aswang are also good choices. Although Aswang is really terrible for the 6-turn cooldown, so that's not a card that I would use. The Prince. This card, I think, was it 5-turn cooldown if I remember correctly. There's not a lot of great options. So some of the generation 2 heroes are actually going to be a little bit better because ultimately so that's 4 turns. So ultimately I think what you're going to get is you want to try and attack as many times as you can. And once you attack, then you want to reset and then basically fill up the board as much as you can. So if you can at least get 3 stacks. So this is the case where if you have 2 Master Collection cards, add in a event card. Add an event card so that you can actually reset and you can maximize the dread amount. And so that you can, maximize the more power gems there. With a Wicked Queen, you'll be able to heal. And I think this is going to be the recipe for, for maximizing your damage there so that you can also go for the overkill. And so Nightfall, what about using a mixture of this deck and the Freedom Fighter? Yeah, so that's the question that I think that was asked earlier. I think it definitely, all of these options would work, but without the killer bonus in place, unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit harder unless you can do this. Unless you do something like this. So this deck, if we do something like... where did it go? Oh, it's already here. So I've got the Spirits United and I've got the Freedom Fighter. So these two are going to basically power each other up. So the Spirits United will also power the Freedom Fighter. And now you can put in the commander cards in here. So this is where I would put in this and this. This is gonna be a little bit harder because like this is now interesting, right? So like, what do I put in the leader here? Do I put in the ultimate do I put in the ultra rare card, or do I put in another Master Collection card? This is gonna be a little bit harder. And then in the middle, do I put in Almar or not? Like really, it's I think I might end up doing something like this, and then this might actually be a little bit, but I need the ultra rare card. In Spirits United to really benefit there. So if you're gonna put in the Freedom Fighter, you want to maximize the damage. The thing about Freedom Fighters is it's all about the nuke damage. It's 3 times 3 keys, you get the maximum number of damage, and if you don't give it the 3 times leadership bonus either, then you're effectively cutting out most of its damage there. And so this has to be a Slayer for leader. If you're going to put in the Freedom Fighter card, you have to put in a card that can boost its by leadership skill. And that's why Almar is going to be the best choice. It's just that the Spirits United deck requires the support card at least to give you the ability to create power gems. Whereas the Freedom Fighter can sort of do its own thing as long as it can deal damage. And so this is going to be a little bit hard to mix. And, maybe you don't need the reset. Like, I think this might actually be a little bit better in this case. Yeah, so got to play around. So in terms of mix and matching, it's getting to a point where I think there's a lot more options. But I'll have to play around in order to really... I'll have to play around more to really come up with a better idea. So check back again in a couple of days when I try when I come back for the next stream. So you said, what do I think about the Mondo Nighthill as a card that could be used in this event? So Mondo Nighthill is a good nuke card for Generation 2, although you're going to really need to use, you're going to have to use Highborn Relics in order to give it the intensity it needs to deal good damage. So what Mondo Nighthill gives you is it gives you ability to revive if you were to die, but it only gives you that revive 1 time. And so I think there are probably other cards that are going to be better for you than this. So we can spend some time maybe in the next day or two where we can take a look at some of your cards and we can give some ideas on what we can do. And so let's see. So the Slayer Bounty won't generate power gems without the UR support, and Yeah, so that's why I was saying that, the deck is a little bit harder if you don't put in the at least the support card to create the power gem. And so this is the case where I do need to take this out and put in the ultra rare. The ultimate form, I think, generates the ultimate form will generate, I think it will generate skill points, right? Let me just double check real quick. And so in this case, this is what I'm gonna have to do. And if you take a look at this card, every time it attacks, it does every time it attacks, it increases the dark skill by 10. So if you use ultimate form and the ultra rare, you're gonna increase it by 10 at least. And so and also another thing I wanted to point out here, if you're playing the Freedom Fighter deck, your best bet is to put all Dark Slayer relics instead of a mixture of Commander and Slayer relics. Relics is one of those things where if you're going to do a mix and match, it's actually better to just go all in on one over the other. So if you're depending on the Slayer damage, then just put all Slayer relics there so that you can deal the most damage. You're effectively using your Commander cards to give you the damage boost with the Commander bonus, but you're not really going to need the relics to boost it up. And so hopefully that makes sense. So if and I would really only recommend this if you don't have the ultimate form for the Commander event. If you don't have it, then I would suggest matching. But if you do, it's better to just use the full deck, because the Commander bonus across the deck with the 15s and the 10s that you're going to get and the 13s, it's going to be significant, a lot more significant than you can get with the Slayer bonus there. And so that would be my recommendation there. Give it a try, and see how that works out for you. And Westfall, does the damage from deck with the ultimate form 2MC2 compensate for a lack of heal in your opinion? So I think that with that particular deck, with if you've got two ultra rare cards and two Master Collection cards plus the ultimate form, then you are effectively going to have enough damage output to take out most bosses. This lack of heal really only comes into play for ultimate bosses. And if you get your prestige really high, that might be an issue, because they start dealing a lot more damage. They start hitting a lot harder, and they would, you might get one shot, or you might, not one shot, but you won't last as long. And so healing is going to be potentially important if you need to take a certain number of turns to guarantee the number of gems that you can generate. And you'll start seeing that as you go up in prestige levels, especially if you're trying for the ultra kill. That might be another case where heal might come in handy, might be necessary, but I think that only happens at the higher level. And also, like in future events, I think with the heal, it's mostly for bosses that hit very hard, like for like bosses like this, like Rilka. And so Reaper, you got the MC on tier 2 and got the dust for UR, but you're not sure if you should spend your dust on a deck. Honestly, I played the last so this is what I did. So the last Earth Commander event, I also spent gems to buy the 1,000 gem box and everything, and I ended up with nothing but ultra rare, not nothing but Master Collection cards. And I'm trying to remember, this is technological. And so I will give you my experience. Commander. So my experience was I actually just managed to do okay in the event. I didn't have the ultra rare, but I chose not to use my dust on it even if I had it. And the reason I have this is because I personally would invest more in the Earth Slayer deck over a Earth Commander deck. And so this type of deck, I think that you're going to cause an imbalance. Ultra rare dust is probably going to be the most rare dust you're going to get, a lot less than available than the Master Collection card dust. So I wouldn't actually use the dust on the ultra rare for this deck personally. That would be my recommendation. I don't know what cards you have. I don't know how you're going to do in the event. I know that if you crafted the ultimate form, you're going to have no problems in this event. But the problem is you're going to be out of balance for the Slayer deck. And so if you got the Bounty Dark deck, I would just give that a try. I would give that a try first and use that as much as you can and see how far you get with it, and then sort of reassess afterwards and see if you need it. So for me personally, I don't know it's worth spending the dust to fill in a deck. I never really liked the idea of spending just the Master Collection card dust or just the ultra rare dust. I'd rather just say, if I don't get it this event, I'll just wait. It's always better to use your dust for a full team rather than for a full team that is worthwhile, I should say. For a deck that is an absolutely must-have for, you know, longevity, for decks that can last a long time, then I'll say absolutely go for it, because you're going to use it. And the type of decks that I think are going to be really, really good that has longevity is going to be a deck like, if I can see it. So obviously any of the sort of the double hit decks, like the last Water Commander, Water Slayer that I have all of them, and also the Yokai deck. So this deck you'll never die. The heal basically will, it's incredible the amount of heal you get with just a single ultimate relic, and the number of gems you get here. You're gonna have a lot of fun with this deck. It's going to, I believe, going to work really well in a lot of events. And so these are the two types of decks that I think that have more longevity and are more worthy getting over this particular deck for community event. So that's my recommendation there. And so that's basically what I wanted to cover in this event. I went through a lot of different things, and I'm really, really glad that I got the deck. So thank you so much once again for all of your good wishes there. And what I will do is, you know, when we come back on Thursday when we do a stream, and again, the Thursday stream is probably going to be a little bit closer to this time. Right now, we're trying to figure out sort of like, there's conflicts at home right now where we both need, my wife and I both need to make sure we put our kids to sleep, and she has some night schedules over the next couple of weeks. So we're just trying to balance it out a little bit, and she does need to spend time and work, and so I'm just trying to also support her there. And so it's easier for me to just switch my schedule around. So I will keep you updated on the time in which I can stream, and I'll let you know for sure. And so, David Baker, welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, I'm about to end it here, but thank you for joining here. And so, if there's any other questions, and feel free to ping me in the network app, or post any questions you have in the comments below. I haven't had a chance to answer a lot of the questions in the comments recently, but I'm definitely going to try and be a little bit better about it. And so take a look at also the description of the video. I have the link to my shirts there as well now. So if you're looking for it, feel free to check it out. I'm gonna have new designs there as well. And so I think I saw something from Roy. I just wanted to see. Just getting here, free to join. I see. And so that's all for today. I wanted to say thanks. And it's been awesome. You guys have been really great. I love the questions and some really good feedback as well. So again, that's it for me for tonight. I'll see you next time. And Thursday, we'll come and take a look at your decks. All right. Have a good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. And have a good event. See ya.